All right for power, John? Yes, thank you. Good afternoon. Welcome to Nosey Road, St Helens for the Stones Bitter League clash. Top of the table, Bradford. First out on the pitch. Just waiting for the Saints to come out now. Led this afternoon by matchday mascot Michael Whiteley. Big day for this young fella. There he is with Shane Cooper. Just trotting out to the centre spot. Now Michael, he's aged 7. He attends Grange Valley Primary School at Haydock. His hobbies are playing for the St Helens Crusaders. He enjoys playing on his Sega. The St Helens Crusaders under-8s team he is. So obviously he's heavily involved in this rugby league. His favourite player, Tia Rapati, out injured, but he's had his four to take, I think, with Tia before. So big day for this young fella. The Saints team, I'll go through first. For this afternoon, David Lyon at full-back. The three-quarter line of Riley, Hunt, Loughlin and Sullivan. Vivers and Griffiths are the half-back pairing, with Neil Dwyer and Mann in the front row, Joint, Nicol and Cooper the back three, O'Donnell and Danner to the subs. The Bradford side for this afternoon, Dave Watson at full-back. A three-quarter line of Caudle, Shelford, Marchant and Kebby. Summers and Fox, the half-back pairing, with Greenwood, Clark and Hamer the front row. Dixon, Powell and Furbank the back three, and they have Medley and Winterburn on the bench. So centre spot there, Derek Fox and Shane Cooper, and this afternoon's mascot, Michael Whiteley, 7 years of age. There he is, he tosses the coin. The referee is Mr Ian Ollerton from Wigan. Mr Ollerton gives Michael the coin. Teams change ends, so Saints will be playing down to the clubhouse end. We are ensconced on the clubhouse end, on top of the restaurant for this afternoon. We've been poo-pooed from the gantry by the Sky lot, but obviously we'll try and bring it you the best as we can. And here's Michael hurrying down to the tunnel, and let's hope he'll be doing that in a few more years for the Saints. Joining me this afternoon, I've Malcolm, the Bradford commentator. So we're looking for an enthralling tie this afternoon, Malcolm, and especially with Bradford being at the top, and obviously they want to extend the lead, don't they?
Yeah, I think a disappointing thing this afternoon is that Paul Newlove picked an injury up yesterday in the test within that first 10 minutes, and unfortunately Newlove, who's one of Bradford's leading try scorers this season, out of this clash this afternoon. But Tony Marchant able to come in and fill that centre spot in the absence of Paul Newlove.
Yes, that's it with injuries, Malcolm. You just got to get on with it, haven't you? Anyway, Vivers gets us underway. Roy Powell runs it up. Testing time for the Saints. Nicol there at number 12 for the Saints, and unfortunately got sent off in the test match yesterday. Nicol and Joint, the Saints second row pairing, also on the Bradford side with Watson, who was for the Kiwis, Derek Fox, travelling sub, and Carl Furbank, who was drafted up into the front row. But it's Watson, he links up well, Watson. On to Fox now. It's Watson the full back, obviously Furbank at loose forward, and your half-backs, Mal, very lively, aren't they?
Yeah, Derek Fox and Neil Summers, and in that first six there, you saw that Dave Watson coming up from the acting half-back and doing a good running job there. And we've got the old-fashioned kicking here as Watson a long way back, and obviously Cooper having to make sure to keep, and that's nice stepping by Watson, but a good tackle there by Phil Vivers, pulls Dave Watson down as Derek Fox puts the long ball out there to Neil Summers. Summers got a good turn of speed, but the Saints cover coming across there and hauling him to ground.
Yes, obviously territorial advantage is going to be the order of the day, and Fox will be putting that ball down there at every available opportunity. Bradford still in possession. Good drive through by Carl Furbank. Just penetrating the Saints half now, and Trevor Clark from acting half-back. Lively competitor, New Zealander, ex-Featherstone Rover. Now with Fox, shaping up to kick, but creating the space. Puts it in at the corner.
Just a bit too far.
Yes. Deep kick in the far corner. Gerald Cordell on the right wing there, turning up for it. Saints restart from the centre of the 20-metre line. Sonny Nicol brings it away. Quickly in is Fox for the tackle. Peter Fox, the coach for Bradford, he'll have his side all fired up. They're at the top of the tree, top of the Stones Bitter table. Good work there, John Neal again. Excellent competitor Neal, been out injured for a couple of weeks. On to Beavers. Alan Hunt's running out wide. Can Hunt penetrate it? Well, he just tried to pass the ball away. It went in off a Bradford player. And the touch judges signalled that it's obviously gone in. The judges, Alan Hunt, to have gone in, I think, Mal. And the feed goes to Bradford.
Yeah, Brimmer Kebby did well there. Hunt quite a lot bigger than Kebby, but Kebby looked just as though he'd managed to push him into touch before Hunt threw that ball back inside the field. So as you say, head and ball to Bradford as Derek Fox gets the ball into the scrum now. Neil Summers up from that first man, but the loose forward out there very, very quickly, and Shane Cooper out of that pack to halt any further advance by Summers.
Yes, tackling's going to be the order of the day as far as we're concerned, Mal. Unfortunately, we didn't do the tackling against Sheffield Eagles. It let us down. We didn't stop the man with the ball. We paid the penalty. 19-12 we went down. Bradford now still in possession. Fox gets it along the line. Watson linking up. Oh, lovely switch inside to Summers.
Watson again.
Yes, a versatile campaigner, this Watson. Links up well. Had a little problem at Halifax, and Bradford took him on, and he's certainly playing well. Fox with the opposite diagonal kick. The ball still going. David Lyon, can he cover up? He does. But pressure again by Bradford. And this is a hallmark of Fox, isn't it, Mally? He shapes to go to one corner, kicks it to the other corner, and obviously tries to take the Saints players out of the action, and it usually pays off.
Yeah, they've got one or two calls of Bradford, and when Derek Fox is going to put that cross-angle kick in, and as you can see there, Carl Fairbank playing loose forward today, up very, very quickly and managed to get a foot to the ball, but David Lyon just managed to shovel in that ball over the dead ball line, but it's a drop out underneath the post. Two Saints, and Bradford a chance to get this ball back as Summers takes that ball onto Watson, and Watson setting off again across the face. Very elusive runner, but this time Jonathan Griffiths wrapping him up, hauling him to ground just on that halfway line, and Ian Ollerton there giving a penalty.
George Mann.
Holding down there, it was George Mann that's penalised for holding down, so Derek Fox going to have a go for goal. Fox been in superb kicking form this season, and Derek there signalling an old St Helens favourite there with a sand bucket. Neil Holding just bringing the sand bucket on for Derek. And Fox just inside the St Helens half of the field, about 40, 45, 46 yards, straight in front of the post.
Yes, George Mann penalised. Referee Ollerton quickly in. As Malcolm says, a chance for Fox to put the first points on the board. Right in the middle, and we've got an excellent view here, and that looks superb, that, Mal. Yes, right between the uprights. 2 points to nil in Bradford's favour after just over 5 minutes play.
And a successful Bradford penalty, number 7, Derek Fox.
A noticeable absentee, Mal, this afternoon, Steve McGowan, who usually plays well against Saints. I think when we was here last season, a hat-trick he scored. Is he out injured?
Yeah, picked an injury up, a bit of a thigh injury last week did Steve, but he'll be back very, very shortly. And Bradford on the attack again, the forwards driving out there with John Hamer, but Hamer's well halted by Mann
and Chris Joyce. So it's Bradford, and it's been all Bradford in the opening 5 minutes. Saints only had the hands on the ball a couple of times, but the tackling's got to be firm, and they've got to stop the Bradford onslaught. Watson in the line again, and he's got to be met. The Saints have got to go in and meet him. Versatile campaigner, gets the ball away, but it snapped up there. I think that's Beavers, evergreen Beavers, in his 10th season at St Helens. Now it's with George Mann out wide, David Lyon, but well knocked down there. It's going to be a knock on, I think, if Bradford gather the ball, but Alan Hunt gets it away. Now with Mike Riley. So excellent work by the Saints in attack, but Bradford lucky to get the hand to the ball, and in effect forcing the Saints back about 20-25 metres. Well, that's what we think from this angle. It's a bit awkward from behind the sticks, Mal, but we just got to put up with the position, haven't we? Sonny Nicol driving it hard, but the referee in, and obviously a stiff arm tackle. Looks like number 12, Paul Dixon. I think there's been adjudged, but Saints getting their first penalty. 7.5 minutes on the clock, and a chance now for the Saints to put a set of 6 together, hopefully. Well, as far as I'm concerned anyway, Mal. Obviously you were hoping that Bradford tackling would be superb. Bernard Dwyer backing up as ever, makes good yardage. 10 metres from the Bradford line. Saints move it out, Chris Joint. Vivers at dummy half, the tackle count wave clean. Obviously touched a Bradford body. Cooper, George Mann, inside ball, David Lyon linking up. Both these full-backs looking very lively, linking up with the back line, making the extra man. As John Griffiths turns out of one tackle, onto Nicol. He straightens up, drives again, but solid tackling again. Carl Furbank doing the job this time. Cooper, George Mann, he runs hard. Cooper on the outside there, but Mann couldn't release it. Bernard Dwyer quickly, he chips it through. Watson comes up with possession. Saints were looking for a penalty. Good cover there by Bradford. Excellent tackling by the Saints. Some good rugby in the early minutes, Mal.
Yeah, Bradford under a little bit of pressure there, but obviously appealing that the St Helens player was obstructed, but the Bradford defence holding out as Northern now need to work this ball out of their own 25. Neil Summers, Carl Fairbank on the drive now up to the 25, but he's well held. Ian Ollerton making sure that the players are on side as Roy Powell just stepping round, but Ian Ollerton there with the hand raised. It's 5 tackles gone for Bradford, so the ball can back to Derek Fox, and Fox puts a good long ball into the St Helens box, but the full-back and winger back there, good chasing by Bradford there. The players up very, very quickly.
Yeah, it's Mike Riley that comes away with it. Now to Paul Loughlin. Got his arm protection back on, took a knock a couple of weeks ago on the arm that he's been having a lot of trouble with. Loughlin in his testimonial season, and I know Steve McGowan in his testimonial season, Bradford, the player we've just been on about. Now it's Griffiths, works the loop movement there with Cooper, takes it out, Vivers into acres of space, over the top to Alan Hunt, he couldn't take it, but Tony Marchant gathers it. A golden opportunity there for the Saints, but Alan Hunt couldn't control the ball, but versatile Vivers bursting through again. Excellent campaigner, and he probably thought at the beginning of the season that he'd be struggling for a place in this side, did Vivers, but due to injury and other circumstances, he's been virtually an ever-present, and his power is there. It was felt as he created a gap. Summers into a big gap now. David Lyon chasing him, but Summers going for the corner. David Lyon, superb tackle. Give him a yard start and homed in on him. Malcolm didn't think he would be caught, but Lyon did the job. Now with Kebby. Ex-Saints player Kebby, he's been at Widnes, Huddersfield, now at Bradford, St Helens, and now at Bradford. He's in a rich vein of try-scoring form. Last tackle of the sequence, excellent break by Summers, and Bradford putting Saints under a bit more pressure, Mal.
Yeah, but it was Dave Watson there who dropped a beautiful ball off inside. Derek Fox there with a little one-pointer. That was on the 6th tackle. Good thinking by the Bradford skipper, coming away on that 6th tackle with a point. But going back to that break, Neil Summers scored a lot of tries this season that way. David Lyon got across very, very well. I didn't think anybody was going to catch Summers, but Bradford, with that drop goal, it's St Helens 0, Bradford Northern 3.
And it's Bradford that'll get the ball back. And it shows you how end-to-end stuff it is. Saints pressing on the Bradford line, and then Watson creating that little chink in the Saints' armour to put Summers into a big hole, and they nearly scored at the other end. And on the 6th tackle, unfortunately the Saints, they'll have to close Bradford down, giving Fox too much movement, and he popped the one-pointer over. Forward pass being asked for there by the Saints faithful under our camera position, where obviously we usually are, but we've been poo-pooed to the end, as I said. But solid tackling there by the Saints. Dwyer and Chris Joint. I beg your pardon, Sonny Nicol. Not much chance of me mixing them up, really, is there? But Nicol was underneath, just couldn't see him. There's John Neal into the action with Chris Joint this time. On to Clark, but the ball there, Clark looking for the runners, and that's what paid to the Saints' downfall against Sheffield. Roy Powell from acting halfback. Ex-Leeds man, ex-international forward. Last tackle of the sequence. Bradford in possession, it's to Fox. Diagonal kick. David Lyon follows it back. Gathers it safely. Mike Riley will probably come with him, but Lyon does the running. Solid tackling by Bradford, good running. This game scheduled to go out on Sky this evening. Obviously the match of the day, with Leeds and Widnes match being off, and the old pie eaters, they've decided to call the match off against the Eagles. Probably thought they'd get stuffed again. But far from us, we don't usually say anything about Wigan getting beat 46-0, do we? But Vivers there gets the ball back, very well tidied up there by Bernard Dwyer, is it? He's took a knock, yes, obviously went down bravely on that ball. Saints still retain possession. Last tackle of the sequence. Cooper at dummy half. The ball back to Lyon, peppers it down to the corner. And obviously the Saints chasing game, they'll try and keep Bradford in the 20-metre area, won't they, Mel?
Yeah, Dave Watson coming away, and once again Watson there, look, just turning his back and looking for Brimmer Kebby, but safe hands by Watson at the back as Kebby from the acting half-back, but he's well spotted there by Alan Hunt. Oh, and Bradford just hanging about there, the players going the other way, and Roy Powell doing well just to spot that ball at the end, so Bradford need to just get a little bit of rhythm around these play the balls and drive that ball back into the Saints half of the field.
Yes, obviously the side can only play as well as the opposition will let them, and let's hope Saints can take Bradford off the game. Watson there linking up onto Furbank. Nicol comes in with a tackle, but he gets it away to Watson. Dwyer comes in, but Saints are going to have the ball. If shook it out of Bradford's hands, Joint on the diagonal run. Saints now with a set of 6 just outside the Bradford 10-metre area. Inside ball to Loughlin, 20-metre area I should say. Along the line, Cooper, on to Dwyer. A good ball to George Mann, on to Sonny Nicol. Taken down by Marchant. Dwyer now at dummy half. Bradford's defence going to be tested. Holding down, well, it didn't look all that bad, Malcolm. You see worse, going unpunished, don't you?
Yeah, Saints were putting the pressure on there, and John Hamer effected a good tackle there on Sonny Nicol, and Ian Ollerton in very, very quickly there. I think a little bit too quick to award the penalty to St Helens, so an easy kick for Paul Loughlin just to the right-hand side of the upright. Had to think then because we're stuck on the roof, and John, our cameraman's up on that gantry, but a relatively easy 2 points should be now for Paul Loughlin. Yeah, well, I think we better duck, hadn't we, because we're right in the firing line, and we're going to make our excuses now. We get our rights and wrongs wrong, aren't we, Malcolm? That's
you know,
right.
We've been in an unaccustomed position. The last time we played Bradford here, they completely demolished us at Nosey Road last season. The 1st of November it was. The Bradford were up at the top of the table that time. They came here to Nosey Road. They beat the Saints out of sight, 35-18, with McGowan putting a hat-trick in that sequence as well. Bradford 3. So at least Saints come away with points in their attack into the Bradford 20-metre area. Derek Fox gets us underway. Mike Riley comes away with it. Solid tackling from Bradford, tackling in 2s and 3s. Just as the Saints have got to do, and the ball's got to be stopped. Sonny Nicol now. He's due for a date, obviously, with the disciplinary committee after being sent off in the dying minutes of yesterday's test match.
9 o'clock in the morning.
At 9 o'clock in the morning, Malcolm just informed me. And with Sonny Nicol being sent off in the first match of the season against Hull KR, things don't look too rosy, but let's just hope for good fortune for him. Saints still in possession. Bradford moving up quickly. Shane Cooper gets the ball away. John Griffiths. He was facing his own post. The ball went back and the ball onto Neil. Saints are still keeping it going. But a knock on there. Obviously ruled John Neil there, trying to flick the ball up. Phil Beaver's come away with it, but referee Ollerton quickly in, Malcolm.
Yeah, a little bit of scrappy play there. Obviously, both sets of forwards trying to get on top, and the handling mistakes coming. And Derek Fox there just receiving a little bit of attention from Marie, but looks to be all right as we go down to pack just inside that St Helens half of the field.
Yes, Fox to feed. Both scrums clean and going Bradford's way. Watson linking up. Saints move up quickly. Summers attacked in half-back. Good drive by Bradford. Obviously they're not at the top of the table for nothing. Early days yet. John Hamer driving it up. Saints urge to get back on side. Trevor Clark takes up the acting half-back position. Now with Roy Powell looking for the gap. He gets the ball away. But it went forward, whether it was knocked by a Bradford hand or whether it was just a misguided pass. But Sonny Nicol comes up with possession. And Saints start again to see if they can build something up. But it's certainly end-to-end stuff, Malcolm. Exciting. 3-2 the score, and we've had about 20 minutes of play, haven't we?
Yeah, very, very, very entertaining so far. And both sides trying to keep this ball alive. But that's a good run out there by St Helens. And one of the things about Bradford this season, they've scored a lot of points, but the defence a little bit suspect. But holding out again here, that's nice ball laid inside to Alan Hunt as Hunt pops the ball over the top. But the Bradford tacklers there just trying to force, looked like David Lyon was it, into touch on that far side. But Saints again with Jonathan Griffiths. Griffiths, the little chip over the top as Dave Watson hung off him there, and a chance here for St Helens as Watson finally brings his man down, and that ball finally knocked on there, Ian Ollerton. But once again, I thought Dave Watson should have gone for that chip over the top. Watson just hung back there, and good attack there by St Helens, but that final pass just going to ground. So it's heading ball to Bradford inside the Bradford 25.
Yes, excellent work by John Griffiths there. Good chip, good chase. Gathered the ball, the support came up. But as Mal says, the final pass just going astray. Bradford take the scrum. It's up to Saints now to contain them in their own 20-metre area. Adam Greenwood driving it up. Clark attacked in half-back. Powell taking up the running. Cooper quickly in there. Good variation of play by both sides. John Hamer, well clamped there. John Neal, big Cumbrian forward along with Bernard Dwyer. Two tackling machines on the job there. Summers, well, Kebby was looking for the ball inside, and there would have been a big gap there, Malcolm, if he'd give it Kebby, but he elected to take it out wide, took the tackle. It's the last one of the sequence, and Fox there peppers it right up upfield, right down David Lyon's throat. Lyon comes up now with Tony Sullivan, comes on the inside. Not had a touch of the ball yet. Sullivan been out with a throat injury, like he's had a tonsillectomy, and back to full fitness now. Saints running it hard. John Neal driving it in, turns in the tackle, looks to release, but good tackling by Bradford this time. 21 minutes of the game gone. Loughlin takes the ball from Griffiths, but Bradford read it well. Roy Powell, one of the tacklers, along with Shelford, yes. Cooper chips it again. Griffiths chasing, the ball still loose. Cooper brings it up. Should be points on the board for the Saints. And Chris Joint writes it behind the sticks. A superb try by Joint. The first try of the game. But obviously it was Shane Cooper after Jonathan Griffiths earlier on had chipped over the Bradford heads. He must have thought, the Saints captain must have thought that the Bradford defence was suspect. He chipped through again, he regained possession, got a favourable bounce of the ball, and Saints players back it up, and Joint went over. A well-worked try, Malcolm.
Yeah, I think a little bit lucky there. Gerald Cordell coming in off the wing, tried to take that ball, but the ball just losing out of sight. And I know the boys were talking in the dressing room beforehand to watch the chips over. We've had a couple of chips over, one by Jonathan Griffiths and then that one by Shane Cooper, and Bradford paid the penalty. So the lads obviously need to have a chat about this. Ian Ollerton just having a word there with Alan Hunt. I don't know what that was for, but Paul Lachlan with a very, very easy conversion attempt in front of the posts. Coming up to 24 minutes on the clock, and Bradford go behind for that first time as Paul Lachlan just settles himself down, finds the centre of the post, and that ball on the roof just missing our heads, but we'll go back to the centre spot now for Derek Fox to restart the game.
Yeah, I think he was aiming for you, Malcolm. I don't think he was after me. But anyway, good work there by the Saints, and Malcolm says slightly fortunate. Well, you've got to make your own luck, haven't you? It's just the bounce of the ball, the rub of the green. Sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. When we played Bradford last year, as I said, we got completely outclassed, 35-18, and it was just one of them days. Everything went right for Bradford. There was support was there, everybody was backing up, and it's just how it goes. But Saints in the lead, 8 points to 3. Saints in 6th position. Bradford at the top of the tree. They're looking to extend it, but also Saints need the points. They've lost 3 games. Bradford just losing the 1. George Mann breaks out. Tidied up by Lachlan. Into space. Onto Joint again. Joint drawing the defence. He comes inside. They're lining up. Joint chips it through. Watson has to kick it dead. Well, the Saints were lining up there. 2 men on the inside. Sullivan on the outside. Superb play by Joint, and another try nearly coming the Saints' way. Bradford under pressure again, Mel.
Yeah, just a little bit, and Dave Watson quick enough to get back, but once again it's this chip over the top that Bradford are going to have to watch this afternoon. And I noticed just below us there, Dave Watson just making sure that ball hit a young Bradford supporter on the head, but he's all right. There's a knock-on cause there. Bad mistake by Shane Cooper, so down we'll go to scrum on that halfway line. It'll be head and ball to Bradford Northern.
Yes, head and ball, as you say, Mal. A bad mistake there by the Saints, obviously trying to vary the play, but it was on the first tackle. Vivers trying to flick it up to Cooper, coming through on the opposite diagonal. It didn't come off, and now Bradford have possession. Watson linking up onto Shelford. Solid tackling by the Saints. They've got to get right into it, put these mistakes behind them. Obviously it's hard, but especially a top-class side like Bradford. But they have possession. They're driving it right up the centre field. Carl Furbank. Well, he's lost possession. It's come back to Powell, but a knock-on given. Well, from our angle, Mal, it looked as though it had come back, but the referee right on the job there.
Yeah, it looked as though Carl Fairbank was trying to release that ball to a supporting player, but referee Ian Ollerton saying it was a knock-on, so it's head and ball to Saints as Griffiths gets the ball in. It's out to Vivers. Vivers using the full-back there, David Lyon, as a foil, but good tackle there. Brings Phil Vivers to ground by Daryl Shelford. Saints with Alan Hunt, pops the ball inside again to Cooper, but Cooper's hauled down again by Shelford. Shelford having a big tackling stint in the centre. Saints bringing the ball away again, but hauled down on that halfway line.
Yes, running out wide, obviously attacking the Cardle and Shelford wing, and it seems to be paying dividends as Lachlan moves it. He's still going, stands in the tackle, unloads. Alan Hunt now tries to round Marchant. Season campaigner Marchant, many years at Castleford. Now in the Bradford Northern ranks. George Mann straightens it up, looking for support. Mann drives again. He's still going, is George Mann. He gets it away to Chris Joint. Well, crossing is the indication. I was following the ball, Malcolm wasn't. Saints obviously moving down, and George Mann powering through. Support, looking for the support, but obviously crossing in the build-up, and Bradford have the penalty. Fox kicking over to the main stand side here at Odsal. At Nosey Road, I beg your pardon. I'm just thinking about Odsal, Malcolm. Obviously it's going to be a great stadium with the plans that's been unveiled for covering it all round. It should look well, and let's hope they get plenty of action for the stadium.
Yeah, well, that was obviously launched by the council a fortnight ago at a press conference, and we're just waiting a finalisation, but all being well, they hope to start in July of next year.
Yes, and a big change round, considering they was going to fill it in, use it as a tip only about, 18 months ago.
Yeah, but this has been an on-off saga for quite a number of years. People at Bradford have got used to it, but Bradford working the ball out well now with Brimmer Kebby there, just straightening up, but Kebby's hauled down. Trevor Clark in, acting half-back. On to Dave Watson. Watson will elect to go on his own. Watson spinning round, but straight into the waiting arms there of Shane Cooper.
Last tackle of the sequence. He's not the biggest of players, Watson, but he certainly gets through some graft. Straight into Mike Riley's breadbasket. He brings it in centre field, but good following up and good tackling. Saint spread it out again. Yes, good tackle by Summers. He's tackled well, he's drove well, and George Mann there, powering his way through. Puts the ball on the floor to play it. Now John Neal, the other prop, running it up. Obviously Saints looking to get back in winning ways after 2 defeats against the Kiwis in Sheffield, and Nickel drives forward. Referee Ollerton wants Bradford onside. He's urging him to get back. Saints move it out. Cooper, Loughlin, out to Sullivan. Can he round Cardle? He can. Oh, Saints are in again. Superb try by Sullivan, and he shakes his fist up there in salute. A brilliant try, well worked out, as I was saying before, the Shelford and Cardle wing. Whether the Saints coach Mike McLennan, whether he thinks it's suspect or not, I don't know, but it was worked out well there. Loughlin, and a pinpoint pass to Sullivan. He rounded Cardle and then beat another Bradford defender and touchdown. Well worked, Malcolm, there.
Yeah, once again that ball going out there, and Sullivan coming inside, stepping well round Gerald Cardle, and Dave Watson indecisive which way to go, and Sullivan gets the second try for St Helens of the afternoon, right on the half an hour of this game here at Knowsley Road.
Yeah, at least you got it right, Malcolm. Knowsley Road, and I was prattling on about Odsal. But anyway, a chance for Loughlin to put another 2 points on the Saints score. 12-3 at present. Bradford at behind the sticks, just to the right of the sticks, right in front of our commentary position for today. First, obviously, Derek Fox will be reading the riot act, trying to G his side up. Loughlin strikes it well. Oh, just hits the post and bounces out. So the score still remains at 12 points to 3.
Yeah, and obviously Gerald Cardle with that mistake. Peter Fox now ringing the changes. Going to bring on super sub Paul Medley, and it's Gerald Cardle who's been substituted. So Medley probably dropping to the backs into that centre spot, and Tony Marchant onto the wing. Marchant coming across to this wing to partner Daryl Shelford as Derek Fox restarts the game. That's a good high kick, and Saints take the ball up to the 20-metre mark there, but the Bradford chase it up very, very quickly with Paul Dixon as Sonny Nickel again on the drive. This is where Saints have punched some holes in the Bradford defence this afternoon. George Mann been having a good game, and as I say that, George Mann dropping that ball as Neil Summers picks the ball up, dances round, but he's pulled down by Phil Vevers and Chris Joint. Derek Fox looking to move the ball out now with Watson. Watson on to Medley, and forward pass spotted there by the referee as a big shout went up on that far side for the forward pass. So Medley with the first touch of the ball, and a penalty given there for something must have been said to Ian Ollerton. So Saints drive the ball back into the Bradford half of the field.
So Saints drive it up again. John Neal, as you say, Malcolm, whether somebody had said something about the referee, or whether he considered it was an offside decision as opposed to a forward pass. But George Mann driving in again. Carl Furbank forces him back. Good tackle from Furbank and Powell. Bernard Dwyer scampering from acting half-back. Straightens it up again, looks for support. Within 10 metres now. Saints looking hungry, 12-3 in the lead. Cooper brings it on the opposite diagonal. Vevers, Cooper, yes, he's touched it down right by the sticks. Good work by the Saints. Cooper started the ball, he brought it over Vevers in support, and then Vevers looking for the support. Cooper was there again, and he touched it down just to the right of the sticks. I'm afraid Bradford Northern, Malcolm, just gone to sleep a bit.
Yeah, under the cosh at the moment, but it was Vivas and Cooper there who... Nice little run round, and Cooper coming in at pace, and Bradford trying to roll him over onto his back, but Cooper just managing to get that ball down for the third try of the afternoon for St Helens, and Bradford with a little bit of a mountain to climb now, but no doubt Peter Fox will have things to say during that half-time interval to the boys. So Lachlan with his fourth kick of the afternoon. Pops the ball between the posts, so we make it about 6 minutes to go on the watch to half-time.
Shout for a forward pass went up under the camera position, very partisan, as obviously the Saints spectators are all round the ground, but exceptionally partisan on the popular side round about the halfway line. But Saints got a penalty from that forward pass, and then whatever other infringement the referee gave, and obviously Bradford paid the price. Saints came up with 6 points. George Mann running out wide again. Tries to get the ball away, looking hungry for work, but a couple of mistakes in the centre there as George Mann bursting through, looking for support. Bradford come up with a loose ball, and obviously they've got to try and attack. Furbank burst through the tackle. Good drive for the corner, but he's brought down. Good tackling on that far corner. Very difficult for us to pick the players out there, but it's Fox along the line. Summers, he straightens it up, centre field. Bradford in possession. Within 20 metres of the Saints line, looking for their first try. They're trailing by 18 points to 3. Roy Powell has possession. Bradford bring it centre, then Fox trying to work a little bit of magic. The last tackle of the sequence, the referee there with his hand outstretched. Well, a chip kick attempted through. The ball's come back to Bradford, and they've got another set of 6 to hopefully get points on the board. Substitute Medley driving for this right-hand corner. Well, right-hand corner as we are viewing from on top of the restaurant. As I say, we apologise earlier for being on top of the restaurant, and if we get our rights and wrongs, our rights and lefts wrong. But it's Watson right in front of the sticks. He gets the ball away. Bradford keep it moving. Good driving there. Well, the ball's loose. Can Saints come up with possession? They do. Well, Saints have possession, Malcolm, but I don't know what was up with referee Allerton. Did he play the turnover there?
No, I think basically what it was there, the players were looking for that initial knock on, but referee Allerton played advantage, and Saints coming away with the ball now.
Riley.
Bradford needed to keep that pressure on there. Good psychological time to score for a team on half-time, but it's Saints coming away again with Shane Cooper, but Cooper's hauled down by Roy Powell. George Mann again. Mann driving down the centre of this field, but set of 6 over now as Ian Allerton raises his hand. The ball back to David Lyon as Lyon puts a long ball over the top. Dave Watson back. And a good wall of Saints defenders up there as Watson's wrapped up on the 20 metre mark there by Alan Hunt. Brian McKebby from the acting half-back looks to do a little dart down the blind side, but the Saints defence getting across. Fox on to Powell. Powell straightening up, but Powell not really running with any force there, and his progress is halted as Trevor Clark from acting half-back. Fox with the switch to Carl Fairbank. Fairbank onto Medley, but Medley's well tackled there by Alan Hunt. Bradford working the short side again with Paul Dixon. Dixon spins, gets the ball out to Medley as Medley drives up over the halfway line, but once again it's the set of 6 over, so the ball with Derek Fox. Fox steps outside and puts a long kick into the corner there, and Anthony Sullivan a long way to go back, but that ball finding touch. So we'll go down to scrum on that 10 metre mark, but of course the head and ball to St Helens.
Yes, time running out in the first half. 3 minutes up to the interval. I make it on my watch. Saints in the lead by 18 points to 3. As Malcolm's just said, head and ball to Saints with an astute kick by Fox on the 6th tattle. John Griffiths will feed the scrum when it's packed correctly. Griffiths gets back scrum possession. Or should I say ball possession from the scrum. Loughlin. Saints moving quickly and making good yardage. Testing the Bradford defence. Cooper. Out to Mike Riley. Can't beat the first line of defence there. Medley, I think it is, that came in. Excellent tackle. Bernard Dwyer saw the chink in the Bradford armour, tried to scamper through. But Saints throwing this ball about like nobody's business. Sonny Nicol. Joint was supporting him. The Great Britain second rowers from yesterday. Weavers on the 6th tattle, puts a tester up. Watson and Kebby. Well, Kebby couldn't take it cleanly, but Watson comes away with it. Oh, good tackle there, but the ball put back into the field of play. Did the referee allowing play to go on? Well, he isn't. The ball's come to Bradford, but somebody must have said something out of turn. Jonathan Griffith's going to be spoken to. Yes, referee Ollerton says, keep your mouth shut. I'm the referee. I'm penalising you. It's no wonder, Malcolm, obviously. It's surprising what they can hear and what they can't, these referees, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, but I'd have thought the referee would have allowed advantage there. Bradford had possession, but that penalty given to Bradford, as you say, time running out. We're coming up to halfways. Bradford restart from the tap as John Hamer takes that drive up towards the middle of the field. Roy Powell coming now, but Powell spinning round, looking for somebody supporting, but Saints clamping man and ball. Neil Summers, long ball out to Dixon, but Dixon's well met there by George Mann and haul to ground. There was an overlap there for Bradford on that far side, but good tackle there by George Mann as Watson flips the ball inside onto Trevor Clark. Good little interpassing there by Bradford, but the Saints defence holding out. Roy Powell driving towards the post, but once again the cover getting across, and that's the 5th tackle signal by the referee as Derek Fox with the little chip into the corner there. That ball bobbling about, but looked like David Lyon that just scooped that ball dead, so it's a drop out underneath the post to the Saints as we come up to 40 minutes on our watches. Been very, very few stoppages for injuries in this first half, and of course Saints going in with that 18-3 lead.
As Phil Weavers looking to drop out from between the sticks, and obviously he's not going to hurry about it with time running out, and Saints with the lead, as Malcolm says, 18 points to 3. Good kick. Watson gathers it. 60-odd metre kick that, and Watson well clamped. There's the half-time hooter. Bradford come off quickly. No doubt Peter Fox will have a few words of wisdom. No doubt Mike McLennan will as well, irrespective of the Saints leading by 18 points to 3. But it was a 9-minute spell just after the halfway period of the first half, Malcolm, with 3 tries from Joint, Sullivan and Cooper, 2 goals by Loughlin, that really caught Bradford just in that 9-minute spell. They just were under the caution. They paid the price. They've got to come back. Obviously they've got to score first in the second half. We just have to see how it goes, won't we?
Yeah, disappointing half there for Bradford, but as you say, that 9-minute spell with those 2 chips over the top. But let's hope Peter Fox now can rally his troops and come out in that second half and get Bradford back on the score sheet and get a little bit nearer that half-time score. St Helens 18, Bradford Northern 3.
Join us shortly. 18-3, the half-time score. Okay, John. I'm going to do that mention as they come out. Okay? Right, both teams, well, Bradford first out. for the second half. And I've one birthday mention before we get underway. In the Saints director's box, we have Janine Preston. She's the daughter of Mel and Chris Preston. Mel, the Saints director. She's 21 today, so lots of love from mum and dad, and all on the Saints video, and even Malcolm on the Bradford video sends his love. So happy birthday today, Janine Preston. Mum Chris there in the red coat, the blonde hair, and Janine just to her right, I think, as you're looking. So happy birthday, Janine. Anyway, back for the second half action, over to Malcolm.
Well, it looks like both sides with the same 13 on the park that finished that first half, and as I said in the summary just before half-time, Bradford with an uphill task, but Bradford done the Houdini bit once or twice this season. Let's hope they can do it and retain that number one spot in the Stones Bitters. Derek Fox gets a good long ball down, and Alan Hunt steps out of one, but just pulled back there by Dixon, but managing to release the ball as Griffiths sets off the cover coming across there with Summers. So it's Saints working the short side again with George Mann. Mann done a lot of damage in this first half. Punched holes in the Bradford defence as Saints drive up towards that halfway line with the big number 8, Jonathan Neal. There's Sonny Nicol on the ball now, and Nicol into the waiting arms there of Dixon and his Great Britain colleague in yesterday's test match against the New Zealanders, Carl Fairbank. Saints on the short side as Vivas chips a little ball through there, but Dave Watson back on his own 20-metre line, sets out now across the park, just pulled back by the shirt there, by Shane Cooper it was. Summers from the acting halfback, but Cooper once again keeping a close eye around that to play the ball as Bradford come driving again with Carl Fairbank. Fairbank wanting to get up quickly as Trevor Clark gets the ball onto Medley, and Medley looked as though he was in the clear, but it was Jonathan Neal that hauled him down as Derek Fox looking to move the ball out. Summers drops the ball inside there to Shelford, but last tackle signal by the referee. Derek Fox with the high ball. That's a good high ball by Derek Fox as the chasers come up, but well taken by Phil Vivas. Mr. Versatile for St Helens. I think I'm right saying that Phil Vivas has played in every position for St Helens in his stay over here since coming from Australia.
Yeah, I think you're right there, Malcolm. He's a versatile campaigner. As I say, he's been here 10 seasons, and he's always there, always to be relied on. He took it well there. As you know yourself, he's been full back here for many seasons, but he's just got to fit in now with the other players coming in. But Bradford were penalised there, and Saints have the first penalty of the second half. Lyon with a good kick over to the main stand side here at Knowsley Road. Get it right this time, Mel.
So it's Jonathan Neal taking that drive up there. He's well brought down, and referee giving a penalty there. Jonathan Neal just striking out there while he was on the floor, and Ian Alton on the spot there to give the penalty to Bradford Northern. So a little bit of indiscipline there by the big number 8 when he had the Saints on the attack again. So Derek Fox with a chance to relieve the pressure for Bradford Northern. Pops the ball into touch on the halfway line. So Bradford with a set of 6s. Derek Fox, the long ball out to Neil Summers. Summers onto Shelford as Shelford steps inside. Summers going round the outside, but Shelford just straightening up there. Roy Powell on the drive. Round Jonathan Neal, but Neal getting him in there at the second attempt to haul him down. Trevor Clark from acting halfback. Clark, good little ball to Dixon, but Dixon's well wrapped up by Alan Hunt. Bradford with the little dummy run as Derek Fox backing a good move up there by John Hamer, and Fox goes down under a heavy tackle there from Bernard Dwyer, but Bradford inside that 20-metre area. Neil Summers with the little chip there, but that's taken well by Paul Loughlin. So it's Saints back on the attack. Men over here as Cooper gets the ball out to Sullivan, but Sullivan well wrapped up there on that far side by Daddle Shelford. Jonathan Neal switches the ball back inside, but referee on the spot there to spot that forward pass as Jonathan Griffiths stands there with his hands on his hips saying, that wasn't forward, sir, but the man with a whistle said it was, so down we go to scrum. It'll be head and ball to Bradford Northern. Bradford need a score in the opening of this first half as Carl Fairbank comes up with the ball. It's the ball on to Summers. Summers got out of the tackle there of Vivers, but finally hauled down as Dave Watson from acting halfback onto Fox. Fox out to Greenwood. Greenwood coming down that short side, but he's hauled down. Derek Fox. Fox taking them on, gets the ball to Watson, and that ball gone back, the referee said, but no, finally pulling it up there for a knock on. That ball looked as though it had gone back as Dave Watson came in at pace there, but Ian Ollerton adjudging that ball had been knocked on, so it'll be head and ball to St Helens. Jonathan Griffiths gets the ball in, sells the little dummy, pops a nice ball over the top to Lyons. That ball gone forward now, but the Saints looking dangerous there as David Lyon linked up well from fullback, and Lyon just saying, let's settle it down a bit, settle it down. A little bit of a basketball pass over the top, trying to flick it on for the winger for Mike Riley, but that ball travelling forward, so it's Bradford. Should get possession once again from this scrum with Derek Fox. Long ball out, drops the ball off to Medley. Medley coming at pace, but wrapped up there by Alan Hunt and Shane Cooper. Shelford. No way through there for Shelford, and Bradford lacking a little bit of cohesion, and the Saints defence keeping them out. They're spotting it well as Derek Fox puts the long ball out. Fairbank over the top. Watson lays the ball inside to Kebby, but Kebby coming inside, and that was a good tackle by Sonny Nicol on Brian McKebby as Bradford come again with Roy Powell. Powell straightening up, but Dwyer hauls him to the ground. Trevor Clark from acting halfback, but referee spotting offside there as Carl Fairbank wanting to tap that ball, play it quickly, but Derek Fox, skipper for the afternoon, going to tap the ball from there as Dixon on the charge now. Dixon spins out of one, ball down just a couple of yards short. Trevor Clark, that's a bad ball back by Clark, but picked up well by Neil Summers, and Phil Vivers up very, very quickly on his opposing standoff there as Roy Powell once again charging. Powell with the little prop, but it's a good tackle by Jonathan Fox with the switch. It's the ball out to Greenwood. Pops the ball over the top to Kebby, but that's a knock on. Referee spotted the knock on, but was going to blow up, but touch judge overruled that decision. That was a bit of a blatant knock on there.
Well, actually, Malcolm, I thought that Kebby had knocked it forward before Riley had got hold of the ball. I know it looks as though he'd fumbled it, like, you know, but Saints sustaining the pressure very well. George Mann losing possession there. This is about the third time within 7 minutes, that more or less on the first or second tackle, that we've lost possession of the ball, and I would imagine Mike McLennan will be tearing his hair out.
But getting towards the back end of that first half, made a couple of mistakes as Carl Fairbank comes up with the ball. That's a good long ball out. Medley juggling, losing the ball, and Mike Riley setting off now up the park. So mistakes by both sides in the opening 7 minutes of this second half. And Bradford all offside there, so a penalty to St Helens as the Saints played that ball very, very quickly, and Carl Fairbank in an offside position, so a chance for David Lyon to work that ball up towards the halfway line with that penalty kick. Bradford made a category of errors this afternoon, and St Helens capitalised on it as once again the big prop Jonathan Neal drives up the park. Griffiths, the little run round with Cooper as Cooper shows the dummy, offloads the ball to Phil Vivers, but Vivers wrapped up there by Derek Fox. Saints working the short side, and it's Mann again, propping, stepping inside, spins his back, offloads a good ball there, and Saints on the drive again. Good football by St Helens, keeping that ball alive. They're up into the Bradford 20-metre markers. Dwyer, it looks like, from the acting half back there, took that ball very, very quickly at the play of the ball, and It looks like Bernard Dwyer that's got the try there for St Helens. So once again, slipshod work by Bradford Northern around that marking of the play of the ball, allowing Saints to get the first try in this second half. And Bradford warming, another substitute up on the touchline there. It's Carl Winterburn. Thought it was Bernard Dwyer from this angle. I could see that little characteristic crab-like run, and Dwyer scuttling over there to extend the lead. It's Saints 22, Bradford Northern 3, and the ensuing kick to come from Paul Loughlin.
Yes, excellent try by Dwyer. Always there he is, Malcolm. Scampering about. We're promoting him here at St Helens, obviously, for a Great Britain spot. But I think it's if your face fits, you're in, and if it doesn't, well, you've no chance. But he's always there backing up. Good work by the Saints. Drove it up, especially after sustaining. Well, with 10 minutes in the second half, and Saints have sustained, must have been about 8 minutes of pressure on their own line by Bradford, with through sloppy tactics, losing the ball at the first and second tackle, and it's just not good enough. But obviously they've come up with the score. It makes it 22 points to 3, as you say. It certainly hit Bradford there. They've an uphill mountain to climb now, obviously with the Saints scoring first, but you never know. I mean, worse things have happened, haven't they? But Bradford hitting back, Saints hitting back well. Bradford bringing another substitute on. Let's see if it can inject a little bit of pace.
Yeah, well, Carl Winterburn coming on the park, and a surprise there. Neil Summers coming off the park, so Bradford will need to reshuffle the backs. 2 forwards on the substitutes bench this afternoon in Winterburn and Medleys. Fox restarts the game again. That ball's well taken by Alan Hunt as Hunt sets off towards that 20-metre mark, and that try all caused by that offside by Bradford Northern, allowing the Saints to work their way back up the field, and Bernard Dwyer in there very, very quickly. So Saints working the short side again. It's George Mann. That's a good ball out by Mann, but an equally good tackle there. Halts any progress by the Saints. St Helens coming again, moving this ball about as Cooper sells a little dummy. That's a nice ball dropped off. St Helens sawing this ball about nice as Nickel going up the short side, but finally hauled to ground. But Saints covering a good 50-60 metres of this field as St Helens put the pressure on Bradford again, and looking for supporting players there. It was Phil Vivers by the look of it that was looking for a runner coming. Last tackle signal by the referee as Saints whip the ball across the park. Mann, long ball out, and in at the corner, runner pose, goes Anthony Sullivan. So Bradford all at 6s and 7s in this game, and 2 tries within the space of 3 minutes for St Helens, with Anthony Sullivan there speeding in at the corner. That long ball out wide, catching all the Bradford cover in the centre of the park.
Saves at number 5, Anthony Sullivan.
So Bradford fall behind further, and I think at the end of the day, St Helens given Bradford a lesson so far this afternoon in throwing the ball about in defence.
Yeah, that's true, Malcolm. Excellent work by Saints captain Shane Cooper. He's all around there. Obviously, he's Mike McLennan's right-hand man, and he's got to get the Saints back into winning ways after 2 defeats. But he's all over the pitch. Good running by the Saints into this top right-hand corner as we are viewing. And then the ball brought back, and the last cut-out pass to Tony Sullivan, missing one Saints man out, probably Paul Loughlin. Sullivan took it. All he had to do was run and go over into the corner. Another try, 26 points to 3. A nightmare, as you say, Malcolm, for Bradford. And I think this broadcast on Sky tonight will be X-rated as far as the other side of the Pennines are concerned. But Loughlin there, oh, superb effort. A pearler right between the sticks. Another 2 points, and that makes it 28 points to 3.
And as you say, a good goal there by Loughlin. Saints making a substitution. It's Chris Joint going off the park, and it looks like Gus O'Donnell that's come onto the park. So a back 4 forward, but Saints with that commanding lead now as Derek Fox restarts, and Gus O'Donnell gets his first taste of the ball, sets off across the centre of the park, but he's hauled down on that 20-metre mark there by Watson and Winterburn, and Tony Marchant gone into the full-back position now, but Saints moving this ball again as Kebby finally gets hold of Alan Hunt there, as Hunt was looking to go round the outside of the Bradford defence. Bradford rung the changes a little bit as Saints drive up again with the forwards. Jonathan Neal now moving the ball out. It's George Mann props inside, beats Roy Powell, pushes one off. That's good running once again by this prop. Plays a bit like a centre, but Gus O'Donnell, the ball out to Vivers. Vivers with a good ball over the top to Lachlan, but referee on the spot there to see that forward pass, but the Saints punching holes in the Bradford defence at the moment. Good football, throwing this ball about, and Bradford at the moment, no answer to this speedy Saints handling here at Knowsley Road this afternoon. Heading ball to Norden, so Derek Fox with the ball in the scrum. It's out this time to Dave Watson, who's gone into that standoff position with Neil Summers going off the park. Tony Marchant dropping back to fullback. Marchant, not really seen him running this afternoon. Elects to straighten up there, but the Saints defence on top as Paul Dixon spins out of one, gets the ball to Medley, but Medley's well tackled there. Shane Cooper it was, man of the match for me this afternoon for the Saints. Watson onto Fairbank. Fairbank sells the dummy, looks for somebody coming running on the inside, but nobody there as George Mann pulls his man down. Medley from the acting halfback gets the head down, makes good yardage, but 5 tackle signal by the referee. Derek Fox steps inside, pops the ball up. Powell with the little chip over the top. That ball's still loose, and Fox keeps the ball going, but Paul Dixon there just didn't watch for the ball coming out from Derek Fox, so Saints go away again with Riley, and refereeing there very, very quickly, a high tackle. Carl Fairbank it is that's been adjudged by that high tackle, and referee Mr. Ollerton just wanting a word with him. Mike Riley was setting off up that touchline, and Ian Ollerton just giving Carl Fairbank that little warning as Saints wanting to make another, Bradford wanting to make a substitution. It's Carl Fairbank who's coming off the field, and Jedel Caudle coming back on, but referee not really spotted it as yet, so Caudle will have to wait, and Saints switch the ball back the other way with Gus O'Donnell as O'Donnell tries to get out of the tackle there of Medley, but Saints with George Mann again. Nice little run round with Cooper, the ball out to Sonny Nicol. On to Lachlan. Lachlan going for the corner as the cover coming across, and that's a good cover tackle there. Looked like Roy Powell that hauled Paul Lachlan down then, but Saints with Bradford all at 6s and 7s driving towards the post there. Nicol from the acting half-back. Sonny Nicol trying to stretch out, just pulled down a yard short to the left-hand side of the uprights. Long ball out. Cooper once again. That's a good ball out to O'Donnell, but Brimmer Kebby in there very, very quickly to haul him down as last tackle signal by the referee. So what's the Saints going to do? Cooper with the little chip through, and Cooper going through unopposed there, catching the Bradford defence. All at 6s and 7s, stood about in disgust, and Shane Cooper just strolled through there. Bradford really lost the way now in this game, and Ian Ollerton, I think Bradford players were looking for something, but everybody just stood about, and Shane Cooper chipped the ball through, and nobody put a finger on him. Scored a try for Saints.
Yes, excellent try, Malcolm. As you said to yourself, Shane Cooper is outstanding, and Bradford really on the end of a good thrashing. I wonder what the headlines are going to be in the paper. Last week when the old pie eaters, and it's not for us to mention about pie eaters, but they get stuffed 46-0. And the press round here, it said wig-whammed. Myself, with them playing Castleford, I thought it should have been castrated. But what are they going to say about Bradford today? 32 points to 3. Bradford scoring the 3 points, obviously before Saints had got on the board. But a Cooper there, his second try of the afternoon, his second of the season. And Lachlan there, missing at close range. You can't say it doesn't matter, they all matter at the end of the season, but 32-3, and Bradford really on the end of the cosh. With 18 minutes of the second half gone, 22 to go. What score can it be?
And the substitution there finally being made as Gerald Caudle back on the park, and Carl Fairbank, who played in that test match yesterday, off the field, and Saints wanting to make a substitution as well. So it's Andy Dannett coming onto the park. And Jonathan Neal, he's going off, so Dannett, Jonathan Neal getting a good rousing applause there from the spectators on that popular side as Derek Fox restarts the game, and Vivers takes the ball well in his own in-goal area, sets off across the face of the park, but Dave Watson in with a good tackle, hauls him to ground as Nicol from the acting half-back. Watson once again in with that tackle as Gus O'Donnell gets the ball out to George Mann, and that's a good tackle by Bradford, forcing that ball out as Paul Dixon sets off now back into the Saints 10-metre area. Fox looking to drop the ball inside to Trevor Clark, and bit of a high tackle there. The ooze went up, and referee pulling Shane Cooper out there for that high tackle. Looks as though he'd caught him as Dave Watson takes a quick tap, play the ball, gets the ball onto Trevor Clark. So Clark no worse for that tackle, but forced back out of that 10-metre area. Watson onto Fox. Fox straightens up, flips the ball over the top as Bradford player taken out there. There's Roy Powell coming through. It was Tony Marchant on the dummy run there, but Bradford not really trying to make any inroads as Daddle Shelford tries to sneak down the blind side to open Bradford's try-scoring account as Carl Winterburn coming on a substitute, the ex-Berkshire amateur rugby league footballer, been at odds for 4 or 5 weeks. As O'Donnell up there very, very quickly as Roy Powell straightening up towards the post, but Bradford, no real sense of attack, no real ideas coming from this play of the ball. We're on the last tackle as Fox puts a little chip up, and Fox takes his man. That's a drop out under the post because that ball was taken clean outside the try line area, so that'll be a drop out. Bradford to get the ball back with that drop out underneath the post, and Phil Vivers just taking his time. Ian Ollerton saying, come on, let's get this game back underway again. So Bradford with the pressure, but not being able to crack this Saints defence so far this afternoon. Vivers finally gets the ball up the park, but that's only as far as Dave Watson, as Watson sets off again. Watson at full pace, but straight into the waiting arms there of Sonny Nicol. And the substitute, Andy Dannett, as Kebby steps round inside one, but no way to go through this tight St Helens defence this afternoon. Played very, very well of Saints. As little dummy there, that ball laid off nice. Little inside run there to Trevor Clark. He got Brian McKebby with him, but just couldn't get the ball out as Northern with the long ball out to Roy Powell. Powell at pace onto Daddle Shelford. Shelford just can't break the tackle. Paul Loughlin it was that pulled him down along with Shane Cooper as Winterburn tries to dive in, but too far out, and we're on the last tackle again, signalled by the referee. And Derek Fox there under pressure, making a mistake, but referee giving the hand over to Saints. That was on the last tackle as Sullivan pops the ball back to Andy Dannett, and Dannett nowhere to go really, no real steam running as Saints come again with Sullivan from the acting half-back position. Nicol driving up, but pulled down by Watson, and a high tackle there by Dave Watson. Paul Dixon was round his legs, and Watson there just clinging round the top, and referee signalling for attention to David Lyon it is. And Watson looks as though he's taken a bit of a crack there on the head in that tackle. Probably a clash of heads, but Marie on very, very quickly. And of course the referee's keen. If they see any blood now, it's treatment for the players. So Saints with the ensuing penalty as David Lyon puts the ball up to the halfway line. O'Donnell gets the ball on to Dannett. Dannett takes the first drive up towards the centre of the field. Quick play the ball by Dannett as Saints with George Mann spins round again. Saints switching a good ball there. Coming in at pace then, Alan Hunt, but Hunt well pulled down. by Paul Medley. Dannett offloads the ball to Nicol. Nicol going across the face of the defence. Gets a good ball out to Loughlin as Loughlin going for the corner. Sullivan will score in the corner unopposed. Once again the Bradford defence all pulled out of position. It was the quick handling of the Saints there that kept that ball alive, and Paul Loughlin opened up a gap, gave a good ball out to Anthony Sullivan, and Sullivan stretching into the corner there for his second try of the afternoon, and another 4 points for Saints.
Well, Malcolm, I reckon it's Sullivan's third, but we'll not argue over a try, will we, Love? But Saints again running well, running hard up the centre. The big forwards, yes, the hat-trick there, as it says in the PA. The big forwards running out wide. And to be quite honest, the Saints have given Bradford a lesson in throwing the ball out this afternoon. It's just how it goes on the day. Either you get it right or you don't. And everything's gone right for Saints today. They've had to be lifted. Cooper's led brilliantly. Nicol and Joint, who's been substituted earlier on, have run well. They've run out wide. George Mann has been tremendous. We have made quite a few mistakes, but good ball again there. Good drive. Sonny Nicol taking it up out wide. Onto Loughlin, onto Sullivan. Just running, no problem. 36 points to 3, and Loughlin now from virtually on the touchline. He'll probably get this one over. He does, doesn't he? Typical, nearly by the sticks, and he misses it, and out on the touchline, and he puts it over. I think that's his 5th goal of the afternoon, but it's 38 points to 3 now.
Score sheet this afternoon. Scored an average of 30 points of Bradford throughout this season, but obviously this is going to do a lot of damage to that points for and against, as Saints with Riley come away with the ball from that kick out. Bradford lacking 1 or 2 players this afternoon, but no excuse. It's been the wide out ball that's beaten Bradford. St Helens throwing the ball about as Nicol drives in again. A little short ball there from Jonathan Griffiths, but finally hauled down there by Medley and Trevor Clark. Dannett flips the ball round the back there, but Saints still managing to get the ball out as George Mann throws a long ball out, and this time Sullivan having to come back, get the ball. A little bit of scrappy play there by St Helens, but obviously trying to keep this ball alive as Mann goes up the short side. Props once again, plays the ball back to the Saints as Sullivan in looking for work. That's a mistake once again, but referee saying that ball went back. It looked to me as though it went forward as Mike Riley sets off up the park. That's good running by Riley, but equally good cover tackle by Roy Parr. But the Saints rampant now as that ball's popped over the top, and Tony Marchant back in the full-back position, just slipped there and finally hauled down by the chasing cover there of Phil Vevers. Kebby trying to come away with the ball, gets out of one, but he's halted finally by Bernard Dwyer. Derek Fox. Fox with the ball over the top. Shelford looking for the dummy. Looked as though Cordle was held back a little bit there by Sullivan as trying to get the ball round the outside of the man as Derek Fox tries to whip his troops. That's a good ball over the top by Powell. Flips a good ball inside to Medley. Bradford trying to keep this ball alive, but once again, pass going to ground as David Lyon sets off, and just ankle tap there by Derek Fox to halt any progress by the St Helens fullback. Dannett driving up over that halfway spot. Dannett wasn't due to play this afternoon, picked a little bit of an injury up, but Mike McClellan had him on the subs bench. And of course O'Donnell is once again that chip over the top that caused the danger to Bradford in that first half, and Jonathan Griffiths there just unfortunate to get that ball as Bradford swept it from the back with Daryl Shelford as Dixon comes on the charge, but he's halted on that 20-metre mark. Bradford looking to work the ball out. It's Cordle coming in, going across the park. a lot of running for not a lot of territory gain there. Medley ducks out of one. Medley not really had a good chance to run this afternoon, playing in the backs, but the ball not really come out as Winterburn drives up towards the halfway line, but we're on the 5th tackle again, signalled by the referees. Fox will put the long kick over the top, but straight down the throat there of Mike Riley as Riley sets off again, but this time wrapped up by Kebby and Dixon, but gets out towards that halfway line. Cooper onto Hunt. Hunt across the park. Once again, man drawing all the Bradford covers. Saints keep this ball alive. That's a good tackle on Lachlan as he spotted the gap, tried to side his way through, but Daddle Shelford bringing him down as Hunt bouncing out of one again. Hunt sells a huge dummy there. Gets through, but it was the tackle of Marchant that finally pulled him down. Just a couple of yards from that Bradford Northern try line. Saints looking to move the ball out, but 5th tackle signal by the referee. Saints would have been wise to have moved that ball, but this time it's the kick for the corner as Kebby gets back, steps inside. That's good work by Kebby as he saw the defence coming across. But Kebby's hauled to ground inside his in-goal area, so that'll be a drop out underneath the post. It'll be Saints possession again. Thought Kebby had stepped out of a couple of the tackles there as the cover came herring across, and Bradford making a substitution. It's Derek Fox going off. Carl Fairbank coming back onto the park, so that'll be interesting with both the half backs off. Could be Dave Watson goes up to scrum half as Riley on the ball again. Takes the ball in field. Saints moving the ball out again with Vivas. Vivas spins, manages to get the ball out. Lachlan again. Lachlan going for the gap. Lachlan gets through the gap, gets out of one tackle. Paul Lachlan going, gets a good ball inside. And it looks like Gus O'Donnell gets the try for St Helens. The substitute coming on. Or was it Sullivan? Yeah, it was Sullivan, not O'Donnell. Sullivan coming in off that return pass by Lachlan, but once again, scrappy passing by, sloppy tackling by Bradford Northern, allowing the Saints and the passing of the Saints, keeping that ball alive. So Sullivan, 4 tries in the afternoon and a relatively easy conversion attempt now for Lachlan, just underneath the post.
Yes, an excellent try, well finished off, but all credit to Paul Lachlan. Drove well up the touch line. Sullivan came on the inside, a good pass from Lachlan to Sullivan. He went in virtually under the sticks. It'll do his confidence no harm whatsoever, because he's been going through what I would consider a bit of a bad patch as Sullivan, but 4 tries this afternoon. Lachlan converts it. Also nice to see John Griffiths, who I think's had an excellent game as well. Obviously when your side's amassing 44 points as we are now, every player plays well, but John Griffiths, usually Mike McLennan is switching him like Griffiths and O'Donnell round at the half-back partnership, and it's nice to see him being on the field for the full 80 minutes, and he certainly has impressed this afternoon. But obviously Gus O'Donnell, he came on for Chris Joynt, with him having that hard test match yesterday, but 44 points to 3, and it must be hard, obviously with both your half-backs off, Malcolm, must be hard to lift a side from a score like this.
Yeah, of course, always very, very difficult, but everything seemed to have gone right for St Helens this afternoon. Nothing gone right for Bradford Northern, but Saints on the ball again. That man, George Mann, bursting out of tackles there, and sloppy tackling by Bradford Northern as Dave Watson, both missing passes, and Gus O'Donnell streaking away. That's the tale of woe of Bradford Northern this afternoon. Roy Powell missing the tackle there, and George Mann running a full 40-50 yards of this field, knocked the fullback Marchant and the covering Dave Watson off, and Gus O'Donnell up there in support to get another try for St Helens underneath the post. And it's a long time since Bradford had 50 points scored against them in the Stones Bidder Division 1 campaign. And Peter Fox with a big job to do this week now to get the boys ready for that hard trip to Barrow next Sunday in the Regal Trophy. But the head's really gone down now as Lachlan with the conversion attempt. Lachlan using this new style of tee, plastic tee, instead of the mound of sand for his goal kick in. And Julie slots the ball between the posts. So Saints, another 6-point lead now. So it's St Helens with the 50 up, Bradford Northern 3.
Yes, O'Donnell with his first try of the season. A timely one too, but George Mann, the man of the moment, powering his way through, breaking through a feeble Bradford defence. Good backing up by O'Donnell. Well finished off under the sticks. As Malcolm says, 50 points to 3, and it's not bad, is it? 50 points from the Saints against the league leaders, Bradford. I mean, you can't knock the Saints, really. You can't knock Bradford. They've only lost 1. The Saints have lost 3. We'll give you the one against Sheffield. Best team won on the day, but against Hull KR we was expected to win, and at Warrington we threw it away with bad defence on the 6th tattle. But 6 minutes, well, about 5 or 6 minutes of the game remaining. Vivers with a long ball out to Sullivan. He jinks in and out. He has to take the tattle. But 50 points to 3 the score. Saints, well, not looking rampant. They are rampant, but a mistake there. An injury to a Bradford player and a Saints player, but it's going to be a scrum down with a Bradford feed.
Referee just stopping the clock there. That was Bernard Dwyer that knocked on. It must have been in that tackle. It looks like Daryl Shelford that's receiving attention. And Anthony Sullivan there. So down we go to scrum. Dave Watson gone up to that scrum half position. Tony Marchant in the standoff role. Dixon out into the centre as Dixon drives towards the line, but Bradford with Dave Watson. Carl Fairbank on to Medley, but Medley stood about, switches the ball, elects to go the other way, but Bradford showed a lack of any ideas in attacking this afternoon. Carl Winterburn looking to drive forward, but no way through this solid Saints defence as Watson drops a nice little ball off to Fairbank, but an obstruction there by crossing it was Carl Fairbank using a Bradford player there as the foil. It was Daryl Shelford, so the penalty going to St Helens. So the referee gives the penalty award. And Anthony Sullivan getting the man of the match award. That's probably because of 4 tries, but for me, Shane Cooper, man of the match this afternoon. NatWest Bank, who must be the sponsors of the game here at Knowsley Road this afternoon, main match sponsors, and the sponsors do have a right to name a man of the match, as they do at Odsal, but it's George Mann driving up again up towards the halfway line. Saints with the little switch round. Vivers getting out of the tackle there off Trevor Clark, managing to offload the ball. Griffiths looking, get it over the top there, gets out of the tackle, gets the ball to the supporting David Lyon. Saints going up the wing, inside to Lyon, and Lyon gets a good ball on, and another try there. It looks like Alan Hunt, who got another try there for Saints, but Saints keeping that ball alive. Alan Hunt it was who put Saints another 4 points onto the board. It's 54 points now to 3. And of course Bradford Northern were leading at one time 3-0, but it's been all St Helens in this last 60 minutes of the game as we come up. About 2 or 3 minutes left on the clock. I think the Bradford boys will be glad to get into the bath, and it's funny when Bradford Northern always appear on Sky Television, they seem to freeze. All the games that I've watched and commentated on over the last 2 or 3 years, whenever Bradford Northern have those cameras there, and of course with them being at the top of the tree, they're going to get more of it, so they're going to have to get used to it as Lachlan pushes the ball across the face of the goal. So 54 points to 3, the Saints. And of course the top of the table tonight look like Warrington and Bradford Northern sharing that top spot, but the 50 points scored by St Helens this afternoon could drop Bradford Northern down into second place. Warrington with that better scoring average as Gerald Caudle from that centre spot about to restart the game, and it'll be an unhappy bus ride back over the Pennines tonight to Bradford as Hunt sets off across the park, sells a dummy, the ball inside, but David Lyon there just overrunning Alan Hunt as Roy Powell was hanging on round his legs, so it's a forward pass, head and ball to Bradford Northern. Can Northern salvage a little bit of pride and pop one try onto the board this afternoon as Watson breaks blind, switches the ball inside to Fairbank. Fairbank back on the park is Dixon charging it, but he's hauled down just 3 yards short of that St Helens try line. Penalty there as Dixon restarts, spins out, trying to get round, but forced back there as Dixon took a good tap, so the Saints defence holding out as Paul Dixon was spinning and spinning there. Watson straightens up, goes for the gap. Watson just held up a yard short, and that ball popping out there, but Watson saying it was pushed out, but it wasn't. Referee was right on the spot there as Watson tried to spin round and get that ball over the try line. So that's the tale of woe of Bradford Northern this afternoon. On the 10-metre mark, it's head and ball to Bradford Northern, and that looked as though it was going to go in the loose forwards feet. Never mind the tunnel, but
Never even saw the scrum, Malcolm.
never even saw the scrum, as we say. Griffiths gets the ball outside to Sullivan. Sullivan sells a huge dummy there, opened a gap up, but the final hooter goes here at Knowsley Road, and Bradford Northern well and truly beaten this afternoon, but St Helens playing some scintillating football. And the Saints go marching in. That's the song that comes out over the tannoy. So just to summarise on the game this afternoon, Bradford well and truly beaten, and of course now a big hill to climb, ready for the Regal Trophy next week.
Yes, Malcolm, well, they was in it for the first 20 minutes, we can say, Bradford. Doing most of the attacking, and then that just after the 20-minute mark, a 9-minute spell where the Saints running 3 tries, 18-3 at half-time. Still in with a chance, Bradford, but they didn't recover. They had to score first, but it was the Saints that came out with the first try in the 9th minute by Dwyer of the second half, and then running more tries, 10 tries and 7 goals, 54 points to 3. A great performance by the Saints. Obviously, as I say, it either goes right or it doesn't, and unfortunately for Bradford, it hasn't gone right. Saints with a good build-up to the Regal Trophy tie this Friday against Dewsbury. Even though they're in the second division, they're about 3rd or 4th in the second division, it's still a tough task. You've got an away trip at Barrow, and I mean, that's no mean trip, is it really? You should beat Barrow, but we're getting beat here today. It's a big task for Derek Fox and Peter Fox to lift the side, but you should do.
Yeah, so a disappointing afternoon here at Knowsley Road. So the final score from St Helens 54, Bradford Northern 3.
Bloody hell, hey?